It was a stunning vulnerability, confirmed by Ukrainian reconnaissance teams and small drones, and Kyiv would exploit it to change the dynamic of the war, and achieve Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's goal of redrawing the battlefield map before winter. After Russia's invasion began on February 24, Ukrainian troops forced Russia's retreat from Kyiv in an underdog triumph that ended the first stage of the conflict. Even more unsettling were the orders his superiors handed down: to charge as far as 40 miles into enemy territory at high speed in an audacious, top-secret counteroffensive, directly between the Russian-occupied stronghold of Izium and Russia's own Belgorod region dotted with military bases. It seemed preposterous. Some kind of dubious operation. Thwarted from conquering the capital, Russia concentrated its power in the south and east, pummeling Ukrainian forces until new, longer-range weapons arrived from the United States and Europe and helped stall Moscow's advances. Ukraine had survived, but, after a half-year of war, 1/4 of its territory was still occupied and its military had failed to show it could launch an offensive to retake substantial ground. Ukraine, after weeks of fighting for scraps of territory on the war's bloodiest front, Ole, a 21-year-old Ukrainian company commander, was summoned suddenly last August, along with thousands of other soldiers, to an obscure rendezvous point in the Kharkiv region. At his last position, relentless Russian artillery fire had stalked his men's every step. But here, in a patch of villages, farmland and streams in Ukraine's northeast, the quiet was deeply alarming. "The silence bothered me the most," Ole said. "It seemed off. How could this be?" In early September, Ukrainian forces would steamroll across hundreds of square miles, routing the Russians and surprising themselves. The Kharkiv offensive revealed the inability of an undermanned and under-equipped Russian force to hold territory across a vast front. It shocked the Kremlin, and it proved to Ukraine's supporters that they were not wasting billions in weapons and economic aid. Making the costs of war clear to a Russian population that had isolated itself from its leader's special military operation. The mobilization set off unrest but was too late to stop Ukraine's momentum from spreading south to Kherson, where, after hard combat and significant losses, Kyiv's forces in November recaptured the only regional capital that Putin had seized since the start of the war. This reconstruction of the Kharkiv and Kherson counter-offensives is based on interviews with more than 35 people, including Ukrainian commanders, officials in Kyiv and combat troops, as well as senior US and European military and political officials. What emerges is a story of how deepening cooperation with NATO powers, especially the United States, enabled Ukrainian forces, backed with weapons, intelligence and advice, to seize the initiative on the battlefield, expose Putin's annexation claims as a fantasy, and build faith at home and abroad that Russia could be defeated. "Our relationship with all of our partners changed immediately," said Col General Alexander Syrsky, who commanded the Kharkiv offensive. "That is, they saw that we could achieve victory, and the help they were providing was being used with effect." In the last days of August, Syrsky met in a large operations room in Ukraine's east with his top aides and key brigade commanders. Before them was a 520-square-foot 3D printed terrain map of the part of the Kharkiv region occupied by Russia. Each commander walked the path of his unit's planned assault amid the replica cities, hills and rivers,